Good morning and welcome to today's Internet Crime Report. So I'm Joseph Dowdy and your host, and I'm here with Jane Hitchcock, who is our resident Internet crime expert. And today we're going to talk about this past week's interesting news on the web about Internet crime. So Jane, what do you have for us today?
Well, as most of you can see, I'm wearing a tinfoil hat.
Yeah, I noticed the hat. What's up with that?
Yeah. Well, I sometimes get some very unusual cases, most of them via email, through our the WOA website, and I actually get people that send to my P.O. box here in Maine, and they actually send me, like, handwritten. I mean, I'm going to show you right now. Ta-da! I mean,
wow.
Oops, look, see how big that is?
So is that 1 week's worth of mail?
No, that's like over the past few years, and this when they're handwritten like this, saying please don't email me, and then they can't even sign their own name, so I don't even know who they are.
Wow.
But yeah, it seems to run in cycles, and it's one of these things when I go and I do law enforcement training, and they kind of laugh when I tell them this. They say usually when we get the tinfoil hat cases is if it's a full moon, and I swear it really is, and it's even worse if it's a weekend. And plus a holiday weekend, plus the full moon, then they come out of the woodwork. But just to give you an example, just this morning I got an email from this guy saying that one of his family members and her gang had 24/7 surveillance on him. That's all he told me.
Wow.
And I'm going,
okay.
And how am I supposed to help you with that? What kind of surveillance are you talking about? She's sitting out in front of your house? Is she hacking? I just don't know. Another one that was a recent case was this woman claimed that an ex-boyfriend of hers was upset because they broke up and hacked into her phone, hacked into her email, was posting on her Twitter account in code because he's using magic against her. I'm sitting here going, that's really interesting. Okay. Yeah, and every time she gets a new cell phone, somehow he magically figures out what the number is, and he hacks into it, and just all sorts of things like that. And it's it's those kind of cases that we have to handle with kid gloves, because you don't want to insult the person, but at the same time try and say to them, I think you really need to get some professional help. I mean, I've actually gotten to that point with some people saying, you might want to talk to a psychotherapist because I think there's more going on here.
Yeah.
Another one was this man said that his whole house was bugged, and when he took a shower that there were voices coming through the water.
Yes. Interesting.
It's always interesting. It's never a dull moment. And you've seen sometimes I post on, Facebook,
Yes.
I'll post some of the more bizarre things that I've gotten. So, they're funny and they're amusing, but at the same time, I'm very worried about these people because they really feel like they're being stalked and harassed and hacked. But, it's one of those things where if you go to our website at haltabuse.org and we have need help in big red letters, you click on that, you really should follow the steps we have there to make sure that your case is something that we can handle.
Right.
I mean, like this guy with the 24/7 surveillance, if it's, offline, we can't do anything. We only handle online issues, and if you don't provide enough information to us, we can't help you.
Right.
We'll make fun of you, but, I'm just teasing, but, but still, so, on our website, we have steps 1 through, I think it's 1 through 9, and number 8 is the questionnaire, but we try and walk you through the steps on to make sure, is it harassment or stalking, and, just make sure, have you done everything you can do to try and stop this before it gets to a situation where you have to fill out our questionnaire. So, we try and help them, but, sometimes you just have to sit there and just shake your head, and, when my husband comes downstairs and I'm just going, hitting my head on the desk, he just takes the tinfoil hat, puts it on my head, and makes me feel, better. And one of Phoebe, the cybercrime dog's friends, her name is Fifi Fish, she's I don't know, it's a mixed breed dog, and she actually has on when it's a full moon, she has this tinfoil hat alert, and she posts up like an entire office covered in tinfoil. So, they have some friends on the web that they're pretty good about keeping in tune with some of the things that we go through. But like I said, when I do law enforcement training, the cops know exactly what I'm talking about. Because they've reported in the media that there is no correlation between the full moon and extreme cases, but Ask any cop. Ask me. I'll tell you, it's not true. They just come out.
It sounds like you're a case study waiting to happen for some university somewhere about that.
Oh, God. Hey, if anybody wants to take a look at my pile of handwritten, I'm just sitting here going through them, and, I love the ones, writing on notebook paper. Look at this. It's just like, There's like 4 pages, front and back. And they're saying that to the P.O. box. And I'm sitting there going, how am I supposed to help you, if I can't communicate with you online? Because that's another thing that, for legal issues, is we can't call somebody, and we really don't want to do it via snail mail because we want to keep records of everything.
Right.
So if it does go to court, I can show this is the reply I sent to this woman or man or whoever.
Right.
So, it's like one of those things that can you do.
It's a funny thing. It's like, on one hand, you want to respect people because they obviously have problems and you want to try to help them. But on the other hand, you have to break it gently to people that there aren't no superpowers out there that people can, spy on you without some means that can be addressed by, maybe calling the cops or, there's got to be something happening, and the water doesn't talk or sing, I don't think. It babbles.
Well, it might sing. I don't know, but you could get radio waves. I guess I don't know, but most of these people is when they fill out the questionnaire, it's usually that they say, "Well, I went to the police, but they just laughed at me," and I'm sitting here going, "Uh-oh, this is going to be one of those," because I'm going to probably laugh at you too.
Yeah.
But it's some people are just overly paranoid.
Yes.
It's weird.
Well, is there anything happening this week in the news? Any interesting news stories that came up this week?
Actually, it's been a quiet week. I was really surprised. Nothing really totally unusual. The biggest thing was there was a Burger King employee who was videotaped by his fellow coworkers. You probably saw this, where he put a tray of lettuce down the floor and stepped on it and said, "This is what you get served at Burger King." And they posted it on YouTube, and it's like nobody's going to find out. Of course, all 3 of them were found out and they were fired. That was in Ohio, I think. But that was like the biggest unusual thing that I saw anyway.
Well, there was an interesting story with this, I think he was a 9-year-old who was in a daycare center, and he was beating up on small children, and he's been removed from that daycare. So I don't know if you caught wind of that one or not, but that was kind of interesting. And it wasn't like it was directly internet related. It wasn't like somebody posted it online, but that was kind of interesting. And also too, there was this really interesting story, and this is one of the interesting things about the internet. It makes for a very, very small world. Whenever something odd happens in some corner of the earth that's really weird, then it becomes headline news. And so one of the headlines that I saw, and I was looking at it, was, this man had his penis stolen.
Oh, I did see that one.
You did see that one. Okay, so it was in some, corner of China, and, we know China is a really big place, and there's lots and lots of people, and it's like some place that you've never heard of, and I think that the police said that it was his former lovers had got ganged up against him, and they tied him up, and they did something very awful to him. Not to laugh at the poor gentleman, of course, but the fact is that was news, that something like that had happened, and it's because of the internet, really, that we even hear these stories. And so that was kind of the past week. Now, the previous week, we had and I don't know what the media is calling it, but the Batman Massacre that happened. Yes. And of course, that has completely taken over the news cycle of all of the things that have happened since then. And I don't know if you caught wind of this, but yesterday I saw that Christian Bale had gone and visited the hospital where a lot of the people were being treated, and that was a really cool thing. And it was kind of because of the internet that there was an outcry for, a little compassion on behalf of, the people who are behind the film, because obviously, it was their film that was targeted, and their opening of their film. And is there anything else that you can think of this week that came out that?
Well, I mean, besides that, I mean, the killer, James Holmes, I think is his name, he bought a lot of his ammunition on the internet, and they've confiscated his computer, of course, and everything else, at his apartment. But I don't know if you heard yesterday, they said that the school that he was attending, which he recently dropped out from, they found in the mailroom a package from him that was sent to one of the psychiatrists, and it wasn't discovered until yesterday or the day before. It hadn't been delivered to the psychiatrist in time, but I guess he actually detailed with stick figures of what he had planned to do. And if they had, I'm not going to say, looking back, what could you do? But if it had been delivered on time, it might have been averted, which is kind of a shame. But I'm waiting to see I'm waiting to see what they find out on his computer as far as his motive behind this and why he did it. I mean, he just, he's a sick individual is the best thing I can say. Yeah,
and I do know that there were some really odd things that kind of people have pointed out since then. I mean, I think the police said he had $20,000 worth of arms, ammunition, rifles, etc. And he's just a college student, and it's kind of like, well, how did he end up with
where did he get the money?
Enough hardware to protect a dignitary, So yeah, it was quite an interesting story, and it's interesting how with the internet you have all these little things that kind of trickle out to us, yes. And they're kind of like the things that people hear about and find. Of course, then they have some sort of viral quality to them, where people who are like-minded are happy to share those things, and then the story just becomes.
And I was just going to say, a good resource if you really want to look at some odd news stories is I check out the Huffington Post, .com, and I check on their weird stories section. That's where I get a lot of the more unusual things that are happening, and when you were talking about penis, I don't know if you heard about the guy that went through the TSA, and they said that they had to pull him aside because they thought he was packing something. It turns out he has a very large member. If I can say that, and he was kind of amused when they were examining him.
Yeah,
they didn't believe him.
I think
he's got the world record.
He has the world's largest penis.
Yeah.
So that's good for that guy. And I wouldn't necessarily want to be him going through the airport nowadays.
Well, he said next time he's going to wear just shorts and let it hang out. So, I'm just like, what? But, it's funny, like you said, if it wasn't for the internet, you probably would have to, buy a paper and happen to have the right paper and see a little news article. But with the internet, it just explodes. Another one was yesterday. I was almost going, I'll probably post this up on my Facebook wall. Maybe I'll put it on Internet Crime Report. It's nothing to do with crime. Very interesting, though. These guys are going out fishing, and they were doing a catch and release of mako sharks. And it was one of the guys, it was his 40th birthday, and they got hold of the shark, and it jumped out of the water not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 9 times, and they have it on video. It's really an interesting video to watch. So you don't see sharks jumping like that. And they said it was about 10 feet long. So, and of course that went viral on the internet. So, it's things like that, it's a different world now than it was, 10, 15 years ago.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure that next week we will have another roundup of interesting stories, and what we'll try to do is we'll put links to those stories, down below the video here, so that you can directly access those and see those yourself. And that's part of the service that we provide. And thanks again, by the way, for mentioning specifically when people need help, they need to go to haltabuse.org. Is that the correct address?
Yeah, and click on Need Help and then follow the steps there.
And they also have a kid and teen division. And what is the address for that one?
It's haltabusektd.org.
Okay, fantastic. So if you all need help, then Jane has a great organization, WHOA, to help you work to halt online abuse. And until next time, unless there's anything you can think of, Jane?
No, I think that'll do it for now.
Okay, great. Well, then tune in again next week for Internet Crime Report.